Hey guys, today I want to talk to you guys about the new film that's about to come out called Crazy Rich Asians and why I think it could be a lot more progressive and why I think it's actually pretty problematic. I'm going to be a lot less emotional because I think I got quite angry in my last video and I want you guys to take me seriously. So, the movie isn't out yet. We've only seen the trailer, we know the cast, we know a bit about the plot. So, there's only so much we can say, but I think already we can see, from my perspective and from what a lot of people are saying, that this is actually a pretty problematic film. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the stereotypes, the false stereotypes that it plays on of Asians and wealth and richness. There is a stereotype that Asians are, always rich. They're always, they're just so lavish. They have such lavish, rich lifestyles. And it's this unrealistic standard of holding Asians to, and I think it's really damaging and it's not fair, and it's basically giving people more ammunition to make fun of Asians for. And I think a lot of Asians in the cinema are going to basically see this film and feel like they're not like that, and they're going to kind of feel awful about themselves, and they're going to feel kind of humiliated. And it's just another one of these examples of how a false representation can actually be really oppressive. Um, Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the black representation in this film. So, black representation is really suffering right now. It is getting a little better with films like Black Panther, and there are all these black characters in Spider Man Homecoming. But, we need to continue black representation everywhere, not just in black films. And the reason I think this is so important is because the black community has always supported the Asian community. So I think having some black representation in this film is something that the Asian community could do to give back to the black community, because I think that's what we need to do if we want to rise up against white supremacy. People of color need to support other people of color, even if they're not the same race exactly. Another representation issue I wanted to talk about was, where is the Muslim representation in this film? I did some research, and 15% of Singapore is Muslim, but I couldn't see any Muslim actors and any Muslim faces or people in the trailer. This is not okay when Muslims are especially underrepresented in cinema. You'd think that a film like this that's representing Asians in that part of the world would have some Muslim representation. Another representation issue I want to talk about was LGBT Asians. This could be such a groundbreaking film, but from the trailer and from the sounds of it, there aren't any LGBT actors or LGBT characters in this film. Singapore is actually a very open, tolerant society when it comes to LGBT people and rights, and that's actually something that's quite common in Asia. They're a lot better, I would say, than um, America in that respect. But for some reason, this film, maybe because it's a Hollywood film, it's acting a lot more like America, and they're kind of erasing this progression that Singapore and Asians have made, and they're replacing it with this idea that, look at the film. It's literally about straight people and straight and cis men and cis women, and the whole thing is just about straight relationships and straight marriages. And it's really damaging, because I know that there's a lot of LGBT Asians out there who are going to see this film and they're only going to feel like they're 50% represented. um Another problem is that everyone in this film is Chinese, and not everyone in Singapore is Chinese. So it's calling itself Crazy Rich Asians when really it should just be Crazy Rich Chinese people. Again, you need to do better. It's not just about, you know, oh, Chinese are like the best type of Asians. You need to have other types of Asians in there. There is definitely colorism, and it could never be called racism, but there is a kind of hierarchy within Asian communities where they think that they're better than other people. And I think often Chinese people do think they're better than other types of Asian people. I just think that's a fact. And we need to address that, but unfortunately this film is erasing other different types of Asian people. Also, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that this film was made by a white man, and it honestly feels like this is like a white man's vision, or like, ideal idealistic imagination of what Singapore is like and what Asian people are like. I mean, even the title itself is so problematic. It's literally calling Asian people crazy, and there's already a stereotype of like, crazy, the crazy Asian man, and like the crazy Asian lady, and Asians are so crazy, and they eat dogs and they do all this crazy stuff. Like, no, that's not okay. Like, why couldn't it, like, no, sane Asian people. That's what it's so frustrating. Even the strong Asian man Ben Baller, he's even admitted that this film is going to set us back 40 years, or set the Asian community back 40 years. So already there's members of the Asian community who aren't taking too kindly to this film, who are really frightened, and the Asian community really needs to just be aware when they're watching this film. Does this represent me? Does this speak for me? Is this the kind of representation I want to see? Because it's very easy to just put Asians in the title of a movie and include Asian people, and for us to call it progressive and groundbreaking and all of this stuff that's so positive. But, progression is about so much more than that. It needs to go the extra mile.